Hey, this is Mark Swanson from MTC Media with your latest episode of So Long Tobacco Road. This is where we take a look at the ACC, and this podcast is sponsored by MTC Media and Communications for all your web needs, compliance, ADA compliance, data-driven layouts, and so much more. Please visit us at mtcmediallc.com. So, I'm going to run down like I did last week with most impressive win, and that goes with North Carolina's 31-13 win over Minnesota. Minnesota's defense over the last few years has been very good. North Carolina getting 31 points in the way that they did, it was impressive. Probably more impressive than people realize who don't really pay attention to the Big Ten. Drake May's number looked like the numbers that people thought it was going to be before the season started. Over 400 yards passing. Nate McCollum, the wide receiver, had 15 receptions for 165 yards and a touchdown. Now, those are Heisman-looking numbers, something that we didn't see from May in these first few weeks. But even though May had the big numbers, I do appreciate the fact that the Tar Heels ran the ball 37 times. And even though it's only 106 yards, that they didn't get away from it. It would be very easy, especially when you have a quarterback like that. It'd be very easy to get away from it. They didn't get away from it. It wasn't especially efficient, but I do think it was necessary. Now, outside of North Carolina, the other team that I was impressed by is Syracuse. Yes, I said Syracuse. Dino Babers has done a really, really good job. He has the Cuse off to a 3-0 start with that 35-20 win at Purdue. Garrett Schrader was a one-man wrecking crew. He threw for 184 yards. He ran for 195 yards and scored 4 touchdowns. I mean, you talk about and a partridge in a pear tree. That's what that was. But give the Orange some credit, because in today's environment, most of the time, if a coach goes through a rough patch, they get rid of them. And that's not what happened, because a few years ago, there was 5-7, 1-10, 5-7, and they stuck with them. And then 7-5 last year, and now off to a 3-0 start for the second year in a row. Now, they have Army this week, but after the Army game, things are going to get much harder. They go through this 3-week stretch where they play Clemson, and then they have trips to North Carolina and Florida State. So you would say, or you would ask, what's a successful trip out of that? I don't think 1-2 is that bad. Ultimately, you would like to be 2-1. I just don't think that 3-0 is realistic. 1-2, okay. 2-1, terrific. 3-0, again. I don't think that's going to happen. Update on Rhonda Gadsden II. He is out with a Liz Frank injury. He will not return this season. Now, the toughest loss, or the worst loss, and it wasn't even close for me, was Pitt losing to West Virginia 17-6. Pitt has a veteran quarterback who is a problem, and not a problem in a good way. Phil Jurkovec was horrible against West Virginia. He finished the game 8 for 20 for 81 yards and 3 interceptions. He never really got them going anything. He didn't look like a leader. I mean, really, when you really take out of the first year at BC, what has he done? This is like his 6th year in college. He is not very good. The only thing he's done that people like was on the way out the door, he trashed Notre Dame. And then, he hasn't done anything since then, and I'm sure Notre Dame certainly isn't sorry that he's not there. I mean, he just comes off very buffoonish at times, and he's not leading Pitt anywhere of significance as the Panthers fell to 1-2. Now, other tidbits from last week. I don't take much out of Florida State's close win. It looked like your classic look-ahead spot with Clemson over the horizon at noon this upcoming Saturday. So, not impressive. They try to give it away. Boston College didn't want to take it with the 18 penalties. But no reason for sirens. Duke stays on track with a date with Notre Dame looming 2 games from now. The Fighting Irish have been looking forward to Ohio State all season. And lying in wait right after that is Duke, which I think puts Duke in a position of upsets. I do think that Duke will take care of business. They're 3-0 now. They play UConn this weekend. So I think they'll be 4-0 when they head into South Bend. And Duke has won there. I know that because I was there when when Duke won there. But win or lose, this could be a letdown spot for North Carolina. For Notre Dame against a really good opponent or a solid opponent, however you want to define Duke right now. So Duke can get to undefeated going to South Bend, and Notre Dame either undefeated or Notre Dame with one loss, and that's a dangerous spot for the Fighting Irish. Well, thank you for joining us for this week's episode of So Long Tobacco Road. This is your host, Marcus Washington. Have a good day.